And ka-chow! Here they all are in their robot modes. Now, like I said, their alt modes are really nice looking. Their robot modes are less than to be desired, in all actuality. Probably the best looking ones out of line here would probably be, the hell was this guy's name again? Scraper? I can't even remember now.
Scrapper.
Scrapper? Yeah, I can't even remember anymore. Brain's getting fried. Scrapper, Mixmaster is a decent looking one, and Hook would probably be the three that are the nicest looking of the robot modes. Now, Long Haul, he looks a little turdy if you ask me. He's not a very good looking robot. Besides this huge giant chest that he has protruding from him, these big fat legs that he has, he just doesn't look all that cool. I mean, he just, I don't know. You'd think he would be really cool because of his, like, his, the way his alt mode is. You'd think he'd turn into this big badass motherfucker. Well, sorry, he doesn't. Of course, we're gonna start falling now. But another real shitty one is another disappointment. Is Bone Crusher. Bone Crusher, the baddest motherfucker of them all, the strongest motherfucker of them all, is probably one of the worst looking motherfuckers of them all. He's got these really shitty looking legs, and what the fuck's up with his chest? I don't even know. He just doesn't look that cool. He's a disappointment in robot mode, I'll tell you the truth. He just looks shitty. Maybe it's just a combination of his legs and his chest. He just looks fucking stupid. And then you got Scavenger, which is the size of a fucking a baby's penis in width. And then he's got this very oddball penis of his own, as you can see there. I don't know what it is with Transformers and G1, but there were a fair amount of them that actually had penises. Maybe it's just me, but I've noticed there's a fair amount of penises on here. Also, if you have this in the wrong direction, he actually has a nice little ball scratcher. Guy is fucking fully loaded. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind having one myself. But so he does have his own nifty ball scratchers, which I'm sure the other Constructicons are jealous of. But besides those three, like I said, nice three oddballs. Nice oddballs. These look a little weird. Still cool. I'm not saying they're not cool. I'm not saying they're not cool, because, you know, they're Devastators, so they're decent. But in the cartoon, these guys back on Cybertron were friends of Omega Supreme. And what happened is basically Megatron got to him, and I'm not technically sure of the term that he used, whatever that thing he used on him. Let's just call it a pussy sucker. At the moment, we'll just call it a pussy sucker. But he does fry their circuits, and they be turned into Decepticons, bad guys, whatever else. And they betray Omega Supreme by, he was supposed to guard Crystal City. So I think it was a bunch of crystals or something like that. It was Crystal City or something like that. And they say, oh, you gotta go here, you gotta get here, something bad's happening, the fucking Decepticons are attacking, you need to get there. Well, Omega Supreme believes his friend, takes off, and then, wow, the Constructicons fuck him royally. So, in the long run, that's where Omega Supreme's revenge comes from. Even though he gets pussy sucked too, but he's strong enough to pull the fucker off, and then he becomes slightly retarded, and all he knows is revenge against the Constructicons. But that's pretty much it for their robot mode. Like I said, they're not bad. They got all their nice little guns in their hands. They all come with guns. You know, they got nice and shiny pieces on them. You know, they're not that bad. But anyway, I'm going to get into Devastator himself, and we'll show you that bad boy. And here he is, in all his might and glory, Devastator. Now, as you can see, when he's transformed, he is a very good looking Transformer to me. I mean, besides the really facts of no movement at all really with this guy, and you know, when you're moving him sometimes his arms could come off when you're playing with him. But in all aspects, he's a good-looking combiner. Since he was like the first combiner to come out that we had, this toy was you had this toy, you were the coolest kid on the block at the time if you had a Devastator figure. Because I know they came in. I know when I was a kid, I didn't have a whole Devastator. I had pieces because I used to buy them separately. But I never got the big gift pack that came out, which was really nice, and that came with all of them. But I did have a few of them, and but this guy is he's just cool. I mean, there's nothing. Devastator was one of the coolest characters from G1. I mean, he just ripped shit apart. It was just, you know, what do you always say? There's nothing can withstand the might of Devastator. And really, there was nothing at that time that anything could stand up against them. If they formed to become Devastator, basically the Autobots ran and hid because Devastator was such a might. And it's pretty much the reason why we got the Dinobots is because they were dumb and strong. You know, they didn't have the fear. You know, they'd go in there and just do what the fuck they had to against Devastator. But the other Autobots weren't that dumb. They didn't just run at this guy full blast because he would tear you limb from limb. He would just destroy you. Now, in the cartoon, I don't exactly remember this thing even being on his chest. I know probably in certain parts of the cartoon it would fade in and fade out, like certain parts. Well, just like his face. Sometimes he'd have a visor on, and other times he'd just have a regular face with little beady eyes. This face one has more like the visor type look to him. Another thing is he has this big cannon, and in the cartoon I don't remember that being with him either. But since when back then any toy came with a gun, it didn't matter who it was, they had a gun. It could have been a Ninja Turtle, and he had a gun. But he's just really cool. I mean, he was he's very sensitive. He's, you know, a couple pieces combined him. He's not like the Bruticus's where they had the little heads which snapped up inside of them and they were able to. These were all linked together with pieces. You know, there wasn't just one main figure that connected all the other parts to it. There were multiple parts which they were able to form this guy. And when he was Devastator, he was a little slow because he was the first combiner. All the actions had to go through Hook. So if there was actions, and he had to filter them out, and it was basically a give or take process on which move he would do next, because it was 6 minds going into one. When 6 minds wanted to do all different things, and they had to work together to maneuver this guy. But he is a beastie transformer. He was really cool. Now he's probably the smallest of the combiners. I mean, like, if you compare this to Predaking, which I wish I had Predaking to show you, he looks like a regular transformer against Predaking. He's fucking. There's nothing. He looked like he'd get raped up the ass. But to show a little size comparison, I don't really do size comparisons, but I want to show you since he is a combiner. And the only transformer I got right next to me right now is I think it's Shrapnel, an Insecticon, and that would be the size difference. Now, I think other Transformers were maybe a little bit taller than this, but this is about a pretty good size comparison on how big he was compared to other Transformers at the time. I mean, unless like the Ultra Magnus and Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime was a fairly big Transformer, but I know G1. Everybody wants the G1 because of the colors, because it's true to the cartoon. And I think you could pick up it's hard to pick up a complete Devastator like this one is. This is complete with all the little guns, everything. It's very hard to pick one up that has everything, especially a G1 one. That's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. I mean, he's not as expensive as probably like a Mega Supreme or obviously not a Fort Max. But he will run you some money for a G1, for a complete one. At least $80, and that's probably at the minimum. But this guy is definitely something to look into. Like I said, it's G2. You can pick this guy up a lot cheaper than G1. and it's still Devastator. It's exactly the same thing. There's nothing different on this one. There's nothing different. He's exactly the same, just a different color scheme. So I would definitely recommend picking up a Devastator if you don't have one. A G1, a G2. There was another color variation in G2, which is an orange one. I think the orange one's a little bit rare, so that one might actually cost a little bit of money. But definitely pick up a Devastator. It's definitely worth having. It's something that it looks good on your shelf. It's just nice to be able to say, I have a Devastator, and he's fucking complete. But anyway, this is Rod Steele. Adios, muchachos.